Hi, my name's James Davis. I'm here with Bruce James Francisco. He wrote a new book called Visionary Mind Power, Awaken. And Bruce has been a long-time comedian, hypnotist, entertainer, and recently he wrote a book called The Awakening Visionary Mind Power. We're on with Bruce right now. Hi, Bruce. How are you doing today?
Hello, James. Always good to chat with you about things that I think are meaningful and deep and inspire people.
Great. I hope we can get into that a little bit today. I guess my first question is, Bruce, why did you write the book, Visionary Mind Power, Awaken?
Well, I realized that no one really had an instruction manual for a mind, none of us, including myself. And over the years, through all the my own searching for who I am and what I'm supposed to do in this crazy world we find ourselves, I began to get insight that helped. People always ask me that. They go, what got you involved with hypnosis? And I have to say, when I was probably 12 years old, I heard the statement that man only uses 5% of their mind potential. Now, Jim, as a little kid, that used to bother me because I just said, well, why are we only using 5% of 100%? It just didn't make sense to me. And the way I see it now, after all the things I've done and what I'm doing, I believe we're 95% asleep to our potential. We don't understand our minds, and we need to have an instruction manual that will help anyone get back on track to do what they're supposed to do to ultimately be happy.
So I think that's really kind of what we're trying to figure out here. Most people that I talk to and I'm deal with every day, especially in this crazy world with politics the way it is, and so does reading your book, would that help? Do you think just between the I guess your own peacefulness in the world that's kind of sometimes as they say, you seem like a sane island in a sea of insanity? Would reading your book help those who are experiencing kind of what you described, and perhaps having an owner's manual for the mind that might actually be something worth a read?
Well, I think more than ever, people today are trying to find out a way to control their minds, and it's like no one ever showed them how. And it's a chaotic world we live in. Everyone's all distracted by all these different influences all around them. And you see people just stressed out.
And also, you also mentioned some of the tools, specifically, what are some of the tools you actually express in the book that might actually come into play when it comes to dealing with some of the forces around us and reducing that stress?
Let me give you a little quick analogy. I'm a pilot. I've been flying for about 40 years. And if I took you flying tomorrow and you go, wow, this is great, I want to take lessons. And then you would be like, I would say, slow down, Tiger. I think, Jim, to be a good pilot, my suggestion, take a lesson or two. My suggestion is to take a lesson or two, and then take some lessons. Then study and pass your FAA written exam, and then take your lessons. And now your questions are going to be more meaningful. Your learning curve is going to be greater. Your questions are going to be more intelligent, and you're going to literally know what you're doing and why you're doing it. So if you're looking for a quick fix, that's what everyone's looking for, a quick fix. But when you learn the basic fundamental principles of how the mind works, it's called meditation, mindfulness, power of attraction, and self-hypnosis, how to integrate these powerful mind tools by understanding them, then you're more likely to be able to use these tools when they're most appropriate within whatever situation that you find yourself in, within whatever life experience that you're confronting.
Okay, so these are, for example, the tools that you would suggest: meditation, mindfulness, hypnosis, and power of attraction. For example, what is meditation, and like the difference between meditation and mindfulness versus the difference between hypnosis and, in the end, I suppose, the power of attraction? What do you mean by these principles? Perhaps maybe in one or two sentences each. Let's start with meditation.
Basically, the book's about meditation and hypnosis, but the subcategories are meditation, mindfulness, and self-hypnosis and power of attraction. So I'll give you a quick summary. In a sense, we're all hypnotized by our reactions to all the things that we accumulated through our life. We don't look at it that way, but we're always picking up stimuluses that get internalized within our minds. There's two realities that are always going on in front of every one of us. And when I began teaching a meditation technique in the early 90s, I began to realize that most people were hypnotized, and meditation kind of woke you up for a moment to let you know the difference. Mindfulness is kind of like living that difference, so you can learn to walk through your experiences rather than your experiences walk through you. It kind of protects your minds from taking unwanted information that kind of confounds you. That's the essence of it. Obviously, I need to go a little more deeper. Hello.
Okay.
All right. I think we're good.
Okay. Hello. This is James Davis. I'm talking to Bruce James Francisco, who recently wrote a book called Visionary Mind Power, Awaken, and he's here to talk about it. Bruce, how are you today?
Great, but it's actually called Awaken Your Visionary Mind Power, and this is the first of a series of 3 that I visioned, and this one's called Thinking Beyond Habitual Thinking, integrating like mindful such as meditation, mindfulness, self-hypnosis, and power of attraction. But that's the title of the book. How you doing, James?
Okay, I'm doing good. So basically what you're saying is that you have a couple more books coming, and hopefully we'll be able to get enough out of this book, and the curiosity will bring us to the next one. But as far as this book, what I'd like to find out first, Bruce, is why you wrote the book, and what motivated you to write the book, which has so much useful information in it.
Well, I was so inspired. As a kid, I was always fascinated with the idea that man only uses 5% of his mind potential. And over the years, I ran into some people 40 years ago that showed me some things that changed me forever. And from that, I began teaching a meditation technique early 90s. And then I realized that most people are kind of hypnotized by the stresses of everyday life. And the meditation kind of woke people up for a moment and helped them understand a different option in their mind that they never considered. So I really got involved with hypnosis at that point.
Is it your objective now to unhypnotize, or is it your objective for this book to teach people what hypnosis is and basically how to recognize it?
Well, you have to understand, hypnosis is an absolutely natural state of mind happening to every day to every one of us. It happens when someone's worried about everything. They may be worried about something so much and suffering the perception of something happening that never happens, and the final event comes, and they go, "Oh wow, nothing happened." Yet their body felt the stresses, their mind felt the stresses, and they literally self-hypnotized themselves into a dilemma that never even happened. So the meditation is like an exercise for your mind to help you kind of not fall too deep too fast. You may catch yourself getting caught up, but then you snap out of it. And that's what mindfulness is. So meditation kind of trains the mind by exercising its ability to have a split-second recognition and snap out of it. Mindfulness is kind of like you go through everyday life doing what you do, and then all of a sudden you may confront something that might be questionable. Then to switch to a mindful state is kind of nothing different than you have a computer, right? One day, all of a sudden something tries to get into your computer, and all of a sudden it goes, alert, your virus software. It's like activating the virus software of your mind. And once you understand how to activate that tool within your mind, you'll find that you can walk through your experiences without being affected by all the stresses that end up bringing people's minds down.
So it's kind of like, I guess, when you use the bully analysis, there's a trigger mechanism that perhaps happens in your conscience. I know you talk a lot about your subconscious and your conscious, and how those two kind of have to sync together in order to fully function, as you suggest, stresslessly.
Well, let's just talk about the bully. You mentioned the bully. And then let's talk about hypnosis. Definition: hypnosis is suggestion accepted. It also suggestion that breaks through what they call the critical factor and gets into your subconscious. But it tends to be that emotion tends to allow suggestion to get in more effectively. So you mentioned bullying. So the bullies in school. Let's say we think of bullying in school, but it's happening all the time. But the bully has this emotional reaction. The bully's the hypnotist, and the bullied is emotionally reacting to the bully. But that's why the suggestion gets in. Bullied has his own personal hell going on. But I can just teach that bullied what it means to meditate and what it means to not react. Then he can literally walk up to the bully, and the bully would try his normal stimulus, whatever it is. And the bullied would just look at him and go, "Hey, you still doing that?" And it'll simply roll off you like water off a duck's back.
When that trigger mechanism becomes, you're mindful of that trigger that you would normally react to. When you don't react to it, you're suggesting that you will somehow reduce that bully's reaction, which will reduce the stress in your life, obviously, because you're no more you no longer fear the bully.
Well, the thing is, Jim, we take in suggestion all the time. So let's think of a computer. We all have a computer. And one day you notice something's not right with your computer. And then you can't figure out what it is, but something's not working right. And all of a sudden the reality hits you. You got a virus. And then you go, how'd that get in there? Well, it's the same thing. But if you have good virus software, it would detect it right away, split-second recognition. Just think of your computer. All of a sudden somebody goes, alert, alert, possible virus. And if you could activate that, and that's what the meditation is that I teach, because I want people to know what they're doing and why they're doing it. All of a sudden you snap into a mindful state, and you have your defense mechanism up, so you only let in the good stuff. Because once something gets inside you, you don't know the difference. It's like a virus. It gets in there, and it works in the background. So
you're saying it's kind of like you're just kind of walking along the street and you pick up a virus. Here you go. You're kind of walking along the street and you're picking up different input and different trigger mechanisms that spur your emotion. And you say with these tools, you'll be able to reduce the emotion, which I guess perhaps it causes the stress and stimulates the trigger mechanism.
Well, let's look at it another way. I'm a pilot. I fly all the time. And people always ask me, is flying safer than driving? Now, I've been flying for over 40 years now. And, of course, if the weather's good and the plane's operating good, I think flying's much safer than driving. But one day I had to make a decision to not drive because the weather went bad. So I drove literally 8 hours up, 8 hours back, and I counted almost 10 possible major accidents that I avoided. And I said, well, it's the same thing with our mind. I mean, when you all drive out there, but when you drive, you're not a driver, you're an accident avoider. That's what safe drivers do. The more aware you are, the more you're able to disarm things before they get bad. It takes two people to create an accident, one to stop it. But if you're always aware, you're going to disarm things before it gets deadly. And that's the same thing when you're dealing with people. You're dealing with people that are caught up in various ways. When you react to them, and don't catch yourself reacting, what's in them gets in you. People often ask me, they go, hey, I can't be hypnotized. And I say, well, is there anyone in your life that get you really pissed off? And they go, yeah. And I go, well, that's because they just hypnotized you. I mean, let's face it. You're walking down the street, it's a great day, you feel great. And all of a sudden, you react to something, and next thing you know, you're not enjoying your day anymore. Whatever you reacted to got on the inside, and now you got full of worry or doubt or fear or anger. But if you could disarm that before it gets inside, you'll find that you could walk through your experiences differently without getting all caught up in everyone else's dilemma.
So you're saying that perhaps the subconscious, when you say inside, I'm assuming that you're meaning the subconscious mind, and when you use the outside, that's the conscious mind.
Let's say you're having a nice day and you're feeling great, and all of a sudden someone says something really got you all pissed off. Next thing you know, you're talking in your head, because what's in them is now in you. So
right.
by learning what it means to not react, and that's what I teach in the meditation, in essence, in a nutshell, you're learning how to notice whenever you're not aware, become aware again. Like right now, you're in a room wherever you are, and you have the perception of the room, which is your thinking, and then you hear listen to the sounds you hear wherever you are. Just listen, just for a second. And feel the sunlight if there's a window open, and you hear my voice in the background. And every time you catch your mind in the thought, just be aware of the room you're in again. Listen to the sounds. And all of a sudden your mind gets quiet because you're in the room. And all of a sudden if you're in a thought, you're not aware of the sounds anymore. You're in a thought. Either you're in the room, wherever you are, whatever you're facing, and that's the truth of your reality, or you're experiencing your perception of it, which is based on your subjective view of your reality. It's always different.
Okay, so I guess the follow-up question is, how do I know when I'm hypnotized? How do I know the difference between what I think is my perception and what I'm actually perceiving?
When you feel connected to who you are, when you feel connected to your environment and you're in touch with yourself and not distracted by all the stresses, you're happy. That's a great indicator. When you feel a little anxiety or a little bit of tension or anger, that means that you're caught up. It's hard to see it. Once it gets inside, like the virus, you don't know that it's there, but you know something's not right.
You're saying the subconscious, correct? When you say inside?
Right. It breaks through. It gets into your subconscious mind. Like one day I remember my wife was saying something about a credit card bill or something, and she wasn't thinking much of it. And I said, oh, you better check that, because if not, they're going to probably double bill you or something. And she heard me kind of, and she goes, oh, okay. And then she forgot about it. 3 a.m. in the morning, I see my wife stirring next to me, and she goes, oh, I got to pay that bill. I got to do that thing. Because you react to things all the time, and when you're half asleep, your subconscious mind can play kind of things surface. And so it's so interesting that it surfaced late at night because that suggestion got in. But she didn't think about it much because she was busy. But the suggestion still gets in. It's like a seed. It gets through the soil, and its roots are still growing. And so what you want to do is be able to, it's hard to see, but it pops up in various times to haunt you in whatever moment you're in. It's kind of like post-traumatic stress syndrome, but that's a whole nother topic. We'll get into that later.
Okay, so you're saying that the meditation, if I'm meditating, now how often do I have to do this meditation? And is it a 5-minute ordeal, or should I be meditating all the time? Or how do I know when these viruses, these influences are coming in? Because certainly,
once you begin to meditate, now the meditation technique, it doesn't have to. I have a technique I teach. I think the free downloads when you get the book, it's about 17 minutes long. But really, you use it whenever you want. You could be at a stoplight, you catch your mind wandering, and you notice, learn to become aware. It could be you're about to have an important meeting with somebody, and you'll find that it's much better to take a little bit of time to clear the palette of your mind and walk into the meeting with a clear slate. Because think of like if you have the energy of the sun, Jim, and you're scattered off in all directions, your energy is all dispersed. But when you learn to focus, quiet your mind, and that's what we teach, when you decide to focus your attention, it's like a laser beam in one direction without all the other distractions subconsciously built up all around your mind. See, we get caught up and we don't know it. So that way you can do one thing at a time and be very intense with it.
So if I meditate for an hour a day, 10 minutes a day, will that fulfill the time where I'm stressed out? Now do I have to go back to that meditation process? For example, in yoga, I've done some yoga, and I know that where, the whole idea of that process is to be able to have a place to go, so to speak. When people have stressed out and they have panic attacks and other, psychological issues, a place to go, like the privacy of your own mind.
That's exactly right. And that's why you meditate, because it opens up a possibility in your mind that it's like clearing the palette. Well, exactly. And like I said, the energy of the sun, if you're scattered off all direction, all your energy is scattered. But I always like to use the computer. One day, everyone's experience, your computer freezes up on you. And then you realize, you had 50 applications opened up. And you're all scattered, all that accumulated stuff, and it doesn't run as good when it's that loaded. But when you learn to quiet your mind, it's just taking a little time. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be 15, it could be whatever you want. Maybe do it a few times during the day in between stuff. Then you begin to notice the possibility and remember a possibility as you go through your stresses of everyday life. So it creates a foundation to give you strength to be able to recognize when you're caught up. Mm-hmm. So once you understand, you can't think about it. It's not like you can use thought to get rid of thought. You just have to be still for a period of time, and it'll grow on you because you'll feel you're getting rid of all the extra stuff you've accumulated, and it gives you strength to be more in touch with who you are.
So it's kind of, when you say stuff, I assume that it's more of the baggage that you are talking about, because obviously you want to keep some good stuff and you want to keep, throw out some bad stuff. So
Absolutely.
now, in terms of your book, is it available everywhere, and where can I pick that book up?
Well, if you search, I think you could search two ways: Thinking Beyond Habitual Thinking, or you could search Awaken Your Visionary Mind Power, or just look up brucejfrancisco.com. And if you just go to our website, it'll link over to that. And you can also join our podcast. When you buy a book, it's a free membership. So you'll be able to ask questions and also listen to the podcasts that we've accumulated.
Fantastic. And you also mentioned that you have a meditation download. Is that available for all of our listeners today?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, that's really free. And if you just go to our website, I think you have to leave your email, that's all.
Okay,
and
what's the website?
But if you can remember, visionarymindpower.com, that will work too.
Or vmpbook.com is another one that your publicist shows me here, vmpbook.com.
Yeah, that'll work too.
Okay, great. Okay, so it was a very valuable experience, and I look forward to talking to you again and certainly following up on your next two book assignments. And have a great afternoon, Bruce.
Well, tell everyone to subscribe to our podcast, and of course, if they have any questions, please bring them up, because it helps everyone else too if you ask the questions that are important to you, because trust me, there's someone out there that can benefit from that answer too.
Hello?
Hey, you were just mentioning in the privacy of your own mind to have a place to go to.
Okay, yes.
Well, that's exactly right, and that's why you meditate, because it opens up a possibility in your mind that it's like clearing the palette of your blackboard.
Or
And
a safe place, as they say in modern day times. I know a lot of the educational system is based upon all the maybe a little too much of the consulting and life is woe is me kind of thing. But this is a realistic place that you can go to, a safe place where it's not actually a place, but it's a place within the privacy of your own mind.
Well, exactly. And like I said, the energy of the sun, if you're scattered off all direction, all your energy is scattered. But I always like to use the computer. One day, everyone's experienced, your computer freezes up on you. And then you realize, you look at you had 50 applications opened up. And you're all scattered, all that accumulated stuff. And it doesn't run as good when it's that loaded. But when you learn to quiet your mind, it's just taking a little time. It could be 5 minutes, it could be 10 minutes, it could be 15, it could be whatever you want. Maybe do it a few times during the day in between stuff. Then you begin to notice the possibility and remember a possibility as you go through your stresses of everyday life. So it creates a foundation to give you strength to be able to recognize when you're caught up.
Okay,
because
so now
when you're caught up, you don't know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So once you understand, you can't think about it. It's not like you can use thought to get rid of thought. You just have to be still for a period of time, and it'll grow on you, because you'll feel you're getting rid of all the extra stuff you've accumulated, and it gives you strength to be more in touch with who you are.
So it's kind of, when you say stuff, I assume that it's more of the baggage that you are talking about, because obviously you want to keep some good stuff and you want to keep, throw out some bad stuff. So
absolutely.
Now, in terms of your book, is it available everywhere, and where can I pick that book up?
Well, if you search, I think you could search two ways: Thinking Beyond Habitual Thinking, or you could search Awaken Your Visionary Mind Power, or just look up brucejfrancisco.com. And if you just go to our website, it'll link over to that. And you can also join our podcast. When you buy a book, it's a free membership. So you'll be able to ask questions and also listen to the podcasts that we've accumulated.
Fantastic. And you also mentioned that you have a meditation download. Is that available for all of our listeners today?
Absolutely. Matter of fact, that's really free. And if you just go to our website, I think you have to leave your email. That's all.
Okay.
And
what's the website?
brucejfrancisco.com. But if you can remember visionarymindpower.com, that will work too.
Or vmpbook.com is another one that your publicist shows me here, vmpbook.com.
Yeah, that'll work too.
Okay, great. Okay, so it was a very valuable experience, and I look forward to talking to you again, and certainly following up on your next two book assignments. And have a great afternoon, Bruce.
Well, tell everyone to subscribe to our podcast, and of course, if they have any questions, please bring them up, because it helps everyone else too if you ask the questions that are important to you, because trust me, there's someone out there that can benefit from that answer too.
Fantastic, Bruce. I'm really looking forward to learning more about everything, and having you back on again, and giving our listeners the benefits of all your experiences.
All right,
Thank you
James,
very much.
we'll talk again later. See you.
Very good. Bye-bye.